Although relations between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky appear to be strained, negotiations on Ukraine's mineral resources are set to begin. The Speaker of the Ukrainian Parliament has stated that, starting Monday, both sides will begin serious negotiations on reaching an agreement regarding access to Ukraine's mineral resources. The Ukrainian government is preparing to engage in talks with the Trump administration to grant American access to its critical minerals. Ruslan Stefanchuk, Speaker of the Ukrainian Parliament, told Japan's NHK World Broadcaster that a dedicated team will begin working on the proposal next week. However, he emphasized that any agreement must include security guarantees from Washington. The proposal for American access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals was first introduced by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to President Volodymyr Zelensky in early February. Washington is reportedly demanding 50% of all revenue generated from Ukraine's mineral resources, which U.S. officials have described as compensation for previous military aid. On Friday, President Donald Trump stated that Washington and Kiev were close to finalizing a deal. "I think we are pretty close, yes. I think they want it. They feel good about it. And it's a significant big deal, but they want it, and it keeps us in that country, and they're very happy about it." However, Trump's comments directly contradict Zelensky's statements made on Wednesday, when the Ukrainian president firmly stated, "I cannot sell Ukraine," and refused to sign the deal. Zelensky rejects Washington's demand for $500 billion worth of Ukrainian minerals. Washington has reportedly demanded access to an estimated $500 billion, 477 billion euros worth of Ukrainian mineral resources. Zelensky has rejected this request, arguing that the United States has not provided military or financial aid of such magnitude and has not offered any concrete security guarantees in return. Since 2022, the United States has provided approximately $67 billion in military aid to Ukraine. But this is about getting our money back. This should have been signed long before we got involved. Biden should have signed it, but Biden didn't know much about what he was doing, Trump told reporters on Friday. On Saturday, Bloomberg reported that both parties need more time to reach an agreement. Meanwhile, Sky News stated that the deal is not yet ready for signing due to multiple problematic issues. Sky cited an anonymous Ukrainian source saying that Zelensky is unwilling to accept the current terms of the draft agreement. Threats to Ukraine's access to Starlink, as Washington increases pressure on Kiev to accept the deal, American negotiators have reportedly raised the possibility of cutting Ukraine off from the Starlink satellite network. Starlink provides Ukraine with critical internet access, and its military heavily relies on the system for coordinating drone attacks, exchanging battlefield videos, and maintaining communications between commanders and troops. Continued access to the Starlink system, operated by SpaceX, was also reportedly discussed in a meeting between Zelensky and Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Keith Kellogg, on Thursday. According to Reuters, which cited 3 anonymous sources, the U.S. has considered threatening to sever Ukraine's access to Starlink if Kyiv does not agree to the terms. Following the publication of this report, however, Elon Musk, whose company SpaceX operates Starlink, wrote on X, formerly Twitter, that the story was false, accusing the news agency of spreading lies. What are rare earth minerals? Rare earth minerals consist of 17 elements that are essential for a wide range of consumer technologies, including mobile phones, hard drives, and electric and hybrid vehicles. Ukraine's rare earth deposits remain largely untapped due to the war and state policies regulating the mining industry. The country lacks sufficient information and infrastructure to guide the development of rare earth mining. There is limited geological data, and mineral reserves are scattered across Ukrainian territory. The sector's true potential remains hidden due to inadequate research. However, Ukraine's natural resource prospects are promising. The country's titanium reserves, crucial for the aerospace, medical and automotive industries, are believed to be among the largest in Europe. Ukraine also possesses Europe's largest known lithium reserves, a key component for batteries, ceramics, and glass production. In 2021, Ukraine's mineral resource sector accounted for 6.1% of the country's GDP and 30% of its exports. According to We Build Ukraine, a Kyiv-based think tank, an estimated 40% of Ukraine's mineral resources are currently inaccessible due to Russian occupation. The European Commission has identified Ukraine as a potential supplier of more than 20 critical raw materials, arguing that Ukraine's integration into the EU could significantly strengthen the European economy. The European Commission identifies Ukraine as a potential supplier of over 20 critical raw materials and sees EU membership as an economic strengthening factor. Conclusion and analysis. The U.S.-Ukraine mineral agreement and its geopolitical implications. The article provides an in-depth look at the ongoing negotiations between the United States and Ukraine regarding American access to Ukrainian mineral resources. However, this issue extends far beyond a simple economic agreement, raising numerous geopolitical, economic, and security concerns. Below is a detailed analysis of the situation and its expected consequences. 1. Geopolitical context. Strategic pressures on the U.S. and Ukraine. The U.S.-Ukraine mineral deal reflects a new direction in American foreign policy and economic interests. Over the past few years, the U.S. has consistently supported Ukraine both militarily and financially, and now it appears to be seeking economic returns on that investment. For Ukraine. Security guarantees. One of Kyiv's biggest concerns is whether the U.S. is willing to provide real security guarantees in exchange for mineral resources. So far, Zelensky has rejected the agreement, stating that Ukraine is not for sale and that Washington has not offered adequate protection for the country. Pressure to accept the deal. The U.S. leadership is increasing pressure on Ukraine, seemingly pushing for a swift agreement. The fact that the Starlink satellite system has been brought into the negotiations suggests that Washington is using critical technological support as a bargaining chip. Russian aggression and economic necessity. Ukraine's economy has been severely weakened by the war. While mineral extraction could bring long-term economic growth, a significant portion of Ukraine's mineral resources remains inaccessible due to Russian occupation. For the United States, economic and technological advantages. The U.S. has a vested interest in securing access to rare earth minerals, as they are essential for American technology, defense, and electronics industries. Recouping investment in Ukraine. The U.S. has provided approximately $67 billion in military aid to Ukraine. While the Biden administration did not demand direct repayment, Trump and other Republican leaders are increasingly raising the issue of getting back the money. However, the mineral package Washington demands is valued at 10 times the amount of U.S. military aid so far. Strategic move against China and Russia. China currently dominates the global rare earth mineral market. If the U.S. secures access to Ukraine's reserves, it could reduce dependence on China and establish an alternative supply chain. 2. The proposed agreement for Ukraine and its problems. Under the current American proposal, Washington demands 50% of all revenues from Ukraine's mineral resources, claiming it as repayment for past military assistance. Major concerns for Ukraine. Unfair economic demand. The amount the U.S. is asking for far exceeds the total U.S. aid provided to Ukraine. This deal could put Ukraine in a situation where it loses control over its strategic resources in the long term. Lack of security guarantees. Zelensky has made it clear that the US has not provided concrete military guarantees in exchange for the deal. If Ukraine hands over a significant share of its mineral wealth without guaranteed protection, it could jeopardize its sovereignty. Political uncertainty. Due to the deep political divide between Trump and Biden, Ukraine faces uncertainty regarding Washington's long-term policies and commitments. 3. US pressure and the Starlink threat. American negotiators have also raised the possibility of cutting Ukraine off from the Starlink satellite system if Kyiv refuses to accept the deal. Starlink's strategic importance. The system is vital for Ukraine's military, especially for coordinating drone attacks and maintaining battlefield communications. Elon Musk's denial. While Elon Musk posted on X, formerly Twitter, claiming reports about cutting Starlink access were false, the US government may still use this as leverage during negotiations. Ukraine's technological vulnerability. If the US actually removes Ukraine from Starlink, it would significantly weaken Kyiv's military and communication capabilities, severely impacting its ability to conduct the war. 4. The strategic importance of Ukraine's mineral wealth. Ukraine's rare earth mineral deposits remain largely untapped, but hold enormous potential. Titanium and lithium. Ukraine possesses Europe's largest known lithium reserves, a critical material for electric vehicle batteries and energy storage technologies. Rare earth minerals importance. Modern technology, including smartphones, electric cars, and defense equipment, relies heavily on these materials. Russian influence and extraction challenges. Approximately 40% of Ukraine's mineral wealth is currently under Russian occupation, making extraction difficult in the short term. Conclusion and expected consequences. The US-Ukraine mineral negotiations could have serious geopolitical implications. Ukraine faces a crucial decision. Zelensky's government is under immense pressure to reach an agreement with Washington while trying to protect Ukraine's strategic resources. Tensions in US-Ukraine relations. If the US aggressively pushes the deal, it could strain relations between Kyiv and Washington. Russia's response. Moscow is likely closely monitoring these negotiations and may attempt to undermine US influence in the region. The role of European allies. The EU sees Ukraine as a potential supplier for over 20 critical raw materials. If Ukraine becomes solely dependent on the US for resource extraction, it could weaken Europe's ability to integrate Ukraine into its economic framework. The next few weeks will be critical for Ukraine's future economic and geopolitical position. If you found the topic interesting and useful, please subscribe to my channel. It would help me a lot. Thank you.